The Sea of Abaco is shallow water. Most of it sits between 4 and 15 feet deep. You can look down from the surface and see the bottom on a clear day, except in one location, one specific section, 25 feet deep. And until this week, nobody searching for Lynette Hooker had ever been sent there. On March 11th, 3 weeks before she disappeared, Lynette Hooker tried to leave Brian. That is not a small thing. Walking away from a life at sea takes everything. But she went back, and no outlet covering this case has ever stopped to ask why. The answer to that question may be the most important detail in this entire investigation. We will come back to it. Here is where this case stands right now. A United States official confirmed to CBS News that the disappearance of Lynette Hooker is now being investigated as a possible foreign murder of a United States national. Those are not the words of a search and rescue operation. That is the language of a federal homicide investigation. The 154-foot Coast Guard cutter Margaret Knoll is in Marsh Harbor right now. It is carrying a specialized federal dive team, and per confirmed reporting, the stated mission of that dive team is to find Lynette Hooker's body. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what the GPS data revealed, and why it changes the legal reality of this case entirely. You will also understand why the 6 contradictions in Brian Hooker's own account matter more now than they ever have. Share this video right now. Lynette Hooker has been missing for 60 days. Somebody watching may have information. Every share matters. This is justice over everything. Uncover the truth. Demand justice. For 60 days, Brian Hooker told investigators where to search. For 60 days, they searched there. And then the FBI processed the GPS data from his own device, and everything he had told them pointed to the wrong place. Here is what that data found. The FBI laboratory in Quantico, Virginia, does not handle routine evidence. It handles cases that require the most sophisticated forensic analysis in the federal system. Evidence from the Lynette Hooker investigation was sent there, and what came back changed the direction of this case overnight. GPS data was extracted from Brian Hooker's own electronic devices. Not from a witness, not from a tip, from his own device. That data recorded where it was on the night of April 4th, where it traveled, where it stopped, and where it came back from. A United States official confirmed on record that the location data from Brian's device does not match the account he gave investigators. He told search teams to look somewhere else. For 60 days, they did. Think about what that means. Every aerial grid search, every surface search, every volunteer effort in the water, all of it conducted from information Brian Hooker provided, none of it in the area his own device recorded. The new search zone sits in 25 feet of water in the Sea of Abaco, deeper than anything a visual aerial search can confirm as clear. You need divers at the specific coordinates to know what is there. And this week, for the first time, divers are there, not because Brian told them to go, because his GPS did. What is striking about this is the precision. This is not a general area. This is a time-stamped record of exactly where that device was, when it stopped moving, and when it left. Investigators are not searching based on a theory. They are searching based on a record Brian Hooker created himself and apparently believed nobody would ever find. Former FBI Special Agent Nicole speaking to Fox News Digital. People who commit crimes in foreign countries and think they will not be caught because they are outside the United States are wrong. Many federal agencies are involved. It is a team effort. The Bahamian government has approved the operation. The Royal Bahamas police have confirmed Brian Hooker remains a suspect. And per CBS News, the Coast Guard Investigative Service asked family members to provide DNA samples before the dive began. Lynette's mother, Darlene Hamlet, her daughter, Carly Aworth, and Lynette's father all complied, so that if remains are found, identification can happen on the ground while investigators are still there. That detail, DNA collected in advance, before anyone knew what the divers would find, tells you exactly what federal investigators believe they are looking for. But the GPS data is not even the most damaging thing investigators have. There is a pattern inside Brian Hooker's own account One he repeated to multiple people. That the physical evidence directly contradicts. And once you hear all 6, his entire story falls apart. In a criminal investigation, a story that cannot stay consistent is not a memory failure. A memory failure produces small variations. What Brian Hooker produced is something different. Here are 6 documented contradictions, each one verified against the physical record. 1. The time. Brian told boatyard security guard Edward Smith the incident occurred at approximately 7 p.m. He told everyone else 7:30 or 8 p.m. That difference matters. At 7 p.m. in the Abacos in early April, there is still daylight. Not the dark conditions Brian described to every single person he spoke to. He gave the early time to one witness, and the darkness only exists if the later time is true. 2. The direction. Brian told Hopetown Fire and Rescue that Lynette was swimming toward the boat. He told others she was swimming toward shore. He told Edward Smith she was swimming toward Hopetown, which is north. The boat was south. 3 different directions, 1 event, 1 witness who was physically present. 3. The bag. Brian told Edward Smith that Lynette was swimming with a yellow bag. Lynette's dry bag was green. Brian's dry bag was yellow. He described his own bag as the one she was carrying. 4. The flares. Brian told Lynette's mother, Darlene, that he fired 2 flares. Physical evidence recovered from the dinghy shows only 1 flare was discharged. He repeated the same account to the boatyard security guard. The physical evidence contradicts both statements. Now pay attention to item 5, because this one is not about what Brian said. It is about what the ocean itself recorded. 5. The drift. Researcher Blaine Stevenson conducted a documented drift test using the conditions Brian described. The distance Brian claims to have drifted, at the wind speeds he described, should have taken approximately 5 hours. Brian's account requires 9. There are 4 hours in his story that the physics of the water cannot account for. 6. The weather. Multiple witnesses, photographs, and video documentation from that time and location show conditions were flat and calm. Brian Hooker described 2 to 4 foot seas and 20-knot winds to every person he spoke to. The documented record says otherwise. That detail should not matter. But it does, because Lynette Hooker tried to leave on March 11th. She found the door. She was close enough to walk through it. And whatever she was weighing that day, she was still weighing it on April 4th. That is not a footnote in this case. That is the case. 6 contradictions. GPS data placing Brian somewhere he never mentioned. A federal dive, team in the water right now. The physical evidence, the digital record, and the documented testimony all point in the same direction. The picture is becoming very clear. What do you think is the hardest of those 6 contradictions for Brian Hooker to explain? Drop it in the comments. We read everyone. 6 contradictions in GPS data are powerful. But here is what most coverage has missed entirely, what investigators actually need before they can bring charges, and the 4 specific scenarios playing out in the Sea of Abaco right now that will determine whether this case ends in a courtroom. Brian Hooker has not been charged with any crime. His legal team maintains his innocence. Those facts are true, and this channel states them every time. But here is the legal framework that is now surrounding this case, and why the GPS data changes it. Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 1119, the foreign murder of United States nationals. Both Brian and Lynette Hooker are U.S. citizens. The alleged crime occurred in Bahamian waters. This statute was written for exactly this scenario. The U.S. does not need a Bahamian conviction to bring its own federal charges. It needs evidence. Nicole Parker, former FBI special agent. Although it occurred in the Bahamas, you still have to get permission from them. But it does not mean the suspect cannot be charged in the United States. Brian Hooker is currently in the United States. He returned 10 days after reporting Lynette missing. His attorney cited his terminally ill mother. If charges are filed in a federal court, no extradition is required. Here is what prosecutors are working with. GPS data that places Brian's device at a location he never disclosed. Forensic evidence from Soulmate, The sailboat now being prepared for full examination at dry dock. Infrared cloud camera footage currently under review. A documented 2015 police report. A specific threat, confirmed by Carly in interviews with CNN, Fox News, and NBC News, that Brian threatened to throw Lynette overboard. Witness accounts of a flare from the direction of Soulmate. A massive splash reported after 9:30 p.m. Lights observed on Soulmate near midnight when Brian said nobody was on board. And false statements. When a suspect makes statements to investigators that are demonstrably false, and their own GPS data proves it. Prosecutors call this consciousness of guilt. It tells a jury the defendant knew what happened and tried to hide it. It goes to intent. It goes to credibility. It goes to everything. Lynette called the ocean her happy place. She documented every beautiful day on it. She built her life around it. 4 scenarios are now possible. The divers find nothing. The case continues on existing evidence. They find connected physical evidence, a weight belt, missing equipment, without remains. They find Lynette. The DNA is ready. Identification happens on the ground. The possible murder investigation becomes confirmed. Or regardless of the dive, federal prosecutors take existing evidence to a grand jury. Which of those 4 scenarios do you think plays out? Drop your prediction below. Because the next development in this case is coming fast. If you have any information about the night of April 4th, about the vessel Azura or its crew, submit it through the CGIS Tips app. Anonymous, iOS and Android, link in the description. Justice over everything. Uncover the truth. Demand justice. The divers are in the water right now. The evidence is at Quantico. The DNA is already collected. And somewhere in the Sea of Abaco, at code coordinates Brian's own device reported, this investigation may finally find what 60 days of searching in the wrong place could not. Lynette Hooker was 55 years old. She loved the ocean. She called it her happy place. She documented every beautiful day she spent on the water. She built a life around it. And she was still trying to protect that life on March 11th, when she made a decision that cost her everything. Darlene Hamlet has not stopped for a single day. Carly Worth has not stopped for a single day. They gave their DNA before the dive began because they wanted investigators to be ready the moment they found her. They prepared for the worst so that Lynette could finally come home. The decision Lynette Hooker made on March 11th, the one that cost her 3 more weeks on that boat, may be the thing that finally brings justice for Lynette Hooker. Because the GPS data now sending federal divers into the Sea of Abaco was recorded on a device she shared a boat with. The evidence that may convict the man she could not leave is the evidence he created himself. She tried to leave. She almost made it. And this investigation is closer than it has ever been. What do you want to say to Darlene and Carly right now? They read this community. Drop it below. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. When those divers surface, you need to be here. Support Darlene and Carly through the GoFundMe. Lynette Hooker, missing in Bahamas. Link in the description. And if you know anything about the night of April 4th, the CGIS Tips app is anonymous. Use it, Lynette Hooker. 60 days. We have not stopped. Not for a single day. Justice over everything. Uncover the truth. Demand justice.